And I hope with my new book, The Chicken Soup for the Soul, Extraordinary Teens, I hope that can show, other young readers the possibility that exists in life when you are creative, you are resourceful, and you are hardworking. Because we can all do amazing things if we have the right tools. And that's what it comes down to is really learning some information that we don't always learn in the classroom, which can help us create the life that we really want.
When you look at the American kids' lifestyle, what habits do you see that might keep from achieving their goals? What can they do to build a better foundation for meeting a greater destiny?
That's a good question. I mean, I really think what I see a lot of the time is really a lack of gratitude. Because so many times we were raised in this amazing country and we take for granted some of these opportunities that we have. For example, I have friends that live, in Europe and I'm not going to mention specific countries here, but they always complain about how, the government makes it so difficult for them to get a good job and even start a business. Some countries actually have to have a license and pay the government to be an entrepreneur. I mean, it's insane. But over here, we have so much opportunity, that we can use to make the world a better place, to help other people, and to make some money on the side, which is, a great combination. But if you don't appreciate those things, it's very rare that you're going to take advantage of them. So I think simply by, realizing that there's a lot of potential, almost an infinite amount of opportunity and potential in the country that we live in here, basically on our doorstep, once we realize that, then we'll start noticing some of the little opportunities that we have to make the world and our lives better than they currently are.
Your brother Kyle helped motivate you to write your first book. How important is it for kids to team up with a supporter? And if they don't have a supporter in their family, how do they find one?
Yeah, I think a supporter is very important because, let's be honest, we're all going to go through those days where we wake up and, maybe we've got to go to school early or practice early, and we really just don't feel like it. I mean, that's just natural. It doesn't mean you're, lazy or unmotivated or a bad person. It just simply means you're having one of those days. So what a partner does is help, motivate you when you don't have the motivation. And I think that's really important because when Kyle and I were writing our first book, it took us 3.5 years to do that. And that takes a lot of motivation to work for that long without seeing the end result. But, we kept each other encouraged and inspired to keep moving forward. And if you don't have somebody, a sibling that you can team up with, then the best way to do it is to start joining other youth organizations where you have access to people who have similar interests. So, at most high schools, there's a lot of different clubs that you can join. And even outside of the high school, there's other organizations and youth groups that you can get involved in. And that is by far the best way, I think, to find people who will keep you motivated, driven, and inspired.
You played a lot of sports in high school and also had part-time jobs. How important is it for kids to participate in activities outside the classroom? Like, what kind of cool stuff do you learn through sports, hobbies, and jobs?
Well, first of all, I think it's very important to participate in other activities outside of the classroom. I mean, that's what our message is all about. Kyle and I stressed from a very, early age, and we learned this lesson ourselves, is that simply getting a diploma and going through school is no guarantee for success. What it comes down to is the diversity of skill sets that you have that you can apply to different situations. So when Kyle and I were going out writing our book, we'd go to seminars and we'd learn everything we could from there. We'd take short internships with people that we admired, whether that be at a restaurant or even my dad's friend's company, anything we could do just to observe and learn. And those experiences helped us so much in starting our own businesses and writing our own book that it's hard to even predict where I would be today if I hadn't expanded my own education. So I think that's extremely important. I mean, if you want to focus on, other things like even sports, Kyle and I have always been involved in sports, and that really taught us a lot of lessons. Two of which I think are really important is the importance of making sacrifices. I mean, it's not easy to get up at 5 in the morning to jump in a cold pool to swim. Yet we did it for years and years. And it taught me that, even though times can get tough, you can work through them, and those are where the best rewards come from. Another thing is just teamwork, camaraderie. I mean, in life, unless you want to be a hermit living in the woods by yourself, you have to learn to get along with people. And that was something that really helped me because, Kyle and I formed relationships with people that really changed our own lives. Like Jack Canfield. I came down with a way to figure out how we could help him help us. A lot of those lessons were learned through sport. So it's definitely important to go out there and go beyond the classroom to extend your education and learn everything you possibly can, because the more you know about life, the more you know about the world, the more interesting it's going to be.
What immediate first steps or lifestyle changes do you suggest that kids make if they want to create their dream destiny?
First of all, decide what you want. A lot of people go through life and they complain about not having the life they want, and when you ask them, well, what do you want? They don't really know. They can't give very clear answers. I think it's important to decide what you want and clarify what you want by writing it down, putting it into a form of a goal, and putting it somewhere you're going to see every day where you can be reminded of it and inspired by it. Another thing would be raising your standards. I think that by far the only way I've been able to experience the success I have to date was because I wasn't relying on anybody else to do my job well. I knew it was always up to me. So I demanded more from myself than anybody else would ever expect. And as a result, I was able to create good products, and I was able to form good relationships with people who respected what I was doing. Lastly, and this is very, very important, is just take action. You've got to do something. I think there's so much talent out there that young people have, but for whatever reason, it's not often, put in action, put in motion, and it's really just, it stays as a thought inside our heads. But we have to be able to get it from an idea to a possibility. And that involves, taking a little bit of risk and going out there and trying your idea and just making it happen. I mean, somebody who read my book recently, they decided that, they came up with this idea to wash cars. I mean, it's not revolutionary, but it was still, a good idea. So he goes out there and he starts washing cars, realizes that he got paid quite a bit of money per hour. And this guy, by the way, is 12 years old. And he started, asking for referrals, and he started in his neighborhood, and then he expanded beyond his neighborhood. And then it just grew and grew and grew, and now he's 12 years old and has his friends working for him. And he's making all the money he needs right now, and it's a really cool story. So anything is possible, but you got to be willing to put it into action.
I'd like to close out the interview with a creative thinking exercise. If you were going to put your most important advice to kids and teens on a t-shirt, what would the slogan say?
You're right, that's a very creative question. I think the slogan that I would put on the shirt would say, don't let it happen, make it happen. Meaning, don't just have a good idea and hope that things work out. Or, don't just go through life expecting or hoping that everything's going to fall in place the way you want it. You've got to go out there and really take action and take initiative to put things in motion so you end up where you really want to be rather than somewhere that life puts you or somewhere that somebody else decides is the best place for you. Take that action, believe in yourself, and just keep trying until you get the result that you really want.
That's really great, Kent. You're awesome. I hope kids everywhere will read your new book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Extraordinary Teens, Personal Stories and Advice from Today's Most Inspiring Youth. Thank you so much for sharing with listeners at Amazing Kids.
You're very welcome. It's an exciting interview. Thank you, Alex.
If you want to learn more about Kent Healy and his new book or visit his website, just click on his links at amazing-kids.org. Thanks again, Kent.